feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel that air it out, air it out. I hate it, clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. Take off. I'm on a rocket, a space dog. Bought a new car from Elon, wanna race. I've been asking how long is it gonna take. I've been cracking the car, had to break it safe. I've been righting my wrongs, had to change my ways. I was stuck in one place, so I had to shake. They try holding me down, but I found my way. Roddy Rich and so bicycle love me. Ride away, then my heart went on ice again. Find the balance, my patience been going thin. In the field every day till I reach the end. I've been up on your side like we out of bounds. Ain't no way that it think that it's stopping now. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. I've been waiting for my turn to come around. Air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out. I feel that air it out, air it out. I had to clear it out, clear it out. I feel like Superman and tear it down. Call as a quarterback and send him out.
What's up, football fans, and welcome to the Air It Out podcast brought to you by Inside the Hashes. I know what you're thinking. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time? Yes. Where there's a will, there's a way. We will get you get some content, okay? Some football content. And I don't know if you noticed. What's that? That's six? That's six now? That's five? 5 or 6 weeks in a row. The whole gang is here, ladies and gentlemen. Juan plus Juan. And the plus Juan is stateside. Shout out to wifey in the background. Juan, say what's up to the people.
I finally feel married, guys. Like, I finally don't feel like I got one on the other side of the world. She's finally here, and it's been great.
I'm glad it's been great for you. I'm glad. Coach, say what's up to the people.
I almost thought the streak might die, but when the guys want to make it happen, we make it happen. We make it happen, Captain. So, I mean, I'm just happy to be here. Happy we got the streak alive. And honestly, Inside the Hashes after dark, it sounds kind of crazy, but it don't sound too bad.
Air it out after dark. Hey, it got a nice little ring to it. I can't even lie. It got a nice little ring to it. Yeah. So Darius, say what's up to the people. And also, since it is Air It Out After Dark, okay, I'm not condoning and or supporting anybody until they start cutting checks. I'm in the South right now, and there's this restaurant I've just tried for the first time. It starts with a Z. I'm not going to give them the credit because they ain't cut no check. But I will say it's pretty delectable. I'm going to take a little dip of this sauce here. Eat it fried. Not too bad. Derek, say what's up to the folk.
Yeah, I think people thought it was going to be like the Undertaker, the streak is over, but nah, we're going to keep it going, man. We're going 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. The goal is to do it for, what do you say, Darren? 52 weeks? 82 weeks, and the draft is in 2 weeks, fellas. 2 more weeks, and the draft is here. I'm ready, let's go.
Chris, let me know when you're here, dude. I'll try to meet you down there.
Say less. Hey, Jerome, you said it. I didn't. Okay, and yes, I am in the A. The only reason that we haven't linked, sir, is because I'm not here for pleasure. I'm here for work, unfortunately. And I leave tomorrow. My plane is tomorrow. Finish the story. What story? Hey,
Cody finally finished the story. Yes, sir.
What story?
Hey, but Chris, at the end of the day, it's all about the tribal chief. That's all I'm going to say, man. That's all I'm going to say. Just throw your ones up. That's all I'm going to say.
Everybody who was able
throw your ones up.
Shout out to everybody who was Shout out to everybody who's able to get to WrestleMania. I'm jealous. But it is what it is. Listen, y'all, we got to start on a slightly somber note here, okay? We're going to start on a slightly somber note. I just want to say RIP to the Juice. Now, I know there's some mixed feelings about him, about his legacy, about all of the whole nine, okay? We all know the story of O.J. Simpson. We're not going to go and rehash all of that. Here's the reality. A man has passed away, okay? Whether you like the person, whether you didn't, whether you respected him, whether you didn't, whether a man has passed away. Listen, that's neither here nor there. We'll get into a rating system later. But A man has passed away, and for me, that's always rough. So I want to say RIP to the Juice, but I also want to say RIP to former cornerback of the NFL. I'm gapping his name.
Vontae Davis.
Vontae Davis, who also passed away. I don't want that to go unmentioned as well. Two NFL vets who are no longer with us. So, Juan, any thoughts on the Juice or Vontae passing away?
For all of the controversial meaning that the word name O.J. Simpson comes with, that we can't forget the contributions he made to the game of football. As a running, he was one of the most powerful running backs the NFL had ever seen take the gridiron. An average of 143 rushing yards per game, running for over 2,000 yards in a season that only had 14 games. That is pinnacle athleticism and pure rushing power in an era where if you didn't have a good running back, you were not a good team. Now, granted, he never really won anything outside of rushing titles and achieving 2K, the first one to do that. But his legacy to the game of football will always be remembered. I can't speak to everything else that happened after that, but I will say that as a football player and as a member of the football community, he will be remembered as a huge contributor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Coach.
So I'll make mine pretty quick. When it comes to OJ, I would prefer to think of his on-field prowess than his off-field prowess, as people are still people and everyone got their demons. So I don't want to judge. I don't want to speak really on what happened after his football career. But as a football player, dominance, a monster, a beast, the animal that you look for to have on your team when you go out there on Sundays. And as Juan mentioned, 2014 games is just ridiculous. But the other thing I really wanted to say was, honestly, Vontae Davis, I knew, or I had a feeling it was something off when he left, just the way he left. So this kind of hurts having this be heard that he has passed, unfortunately young. Really wish that we might have caught something sooner with him. Again, it's just the way he left so abruptly. You left in the middle of the game. You say, yeah, I'm done. That's a wrap. He got it. The young guys got it.
Yeah, I think the mental health of football players, athletes in general, or people in the limelight in general. I don't even just say athletes, but in particular, not specifically, not exclusively football. I mean, with all the head injuries, I think it needs to be monitored. That's true, but I think it needs to be monitored a little bit more than it is. So I agree with you there. Darius, thoughts?
When it comes down to Vontae Davis, Darren, you took exactly what I was gonna say. Like, retiring at halftime, like we laugh about it, but there was probably something deeper than that. Like, you don't just halftime, you retire, right? And then obviously, years later, no one talked about him until obviously his passing. So that's one thing I don't really like. What happens in the NFL, like when retired players retire, we don't really hear about them, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. But we usually hear about them when they pass away, right? Like Demaryius Thomas, he was one who, when he passed away, that completely caught me off guard, because I would have thought he was somebody who was not obviously great, but I thought he'd be better than what he was. And then with OJ, 2,000 yards, 14 games on the field, great athlete. Obviously off the field, we know what happens, but we can't take away what he did to the game, especially during that era where, like Juan said, it was ground and pound. Like, you had to have an elite running back. Guys like Derrick Henry would just dominate in that type of era of football, just because that's his style of football. So RIP both to Vontae Davis and OJ Simpson.
I'll say this quick about Vontae Davis real quick. The second half of what has always been like a great tradition in the NFL, which is seeing brothers playing in the NFL against each other. Him and Vernon Davis, both dominant players on their respective positions. Vontae, wherever you are, hope you're well rested, and all thoughts for your family, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you guys with your sentiments. Um, I think from a Vontae Davis standpoint, like I said, I think we in general as a society just kind of have to look into mental health a little bit more, um, and not just mental health, but mental stability. I think one of the issues that we have in this country is we open people up, and it's like leaving them open on an operating table. It's like no no disrespect to therapists, okay? I think therapy is vital and necessary, but I don't think therapy is the end. I think most people get to therapy, and then there's studies that are coming out that people who are going to therapy are actually more depressed. And why? It's because you're really kind of just talking about it, and the more you feed something, the more it grows. What I tend to lean toward is I believe in therapy and coaching, and they're two different things. And I think we need to have therapy and then people who know how to coach people into their future, coach people into their next, coach people into how to practically take what they learn in therapy and apply it and integrate it into their lives. So I wish we did that more as far as OJ. Same situation. I mean, with that, but also, like I said, just what they were on the field cannot be overlooked. They were two great players at their respective positions. They will be sorely missed. So yeah, real quick, I want to touch base on something Jerome said. Kind of mad you didn't tell me you're in the A, Avery. I haven't seen my dog in 3 years. Did you hear me when I said I'm not here for personal business for pleasure? Okay, I am here on strictly business. Okay, I'm here at a retreat for work. Well, not even a retreat. It is an advance for work. There's literally every single second of the day is something for work. We literally that's why we're here at 10 p.m. And I'm in my hotel room because that's when we got back from all of those different things. Jerome,
Also, I do want to say real quick to Jerome, the jersey may be trash, sir. I will admit to you that I'm not proud to be wearing Dallas Cowboys. However, the man on the jersey, you cannot disrespect his name. One of the best guards in the NFL, most likely Hall of Famer, Zach Martin. Do not disrespect his name, my friend.
These are facts.
Zach Martin might be a GOAT, but he still plays for the Cowgirls. It is what it is.
It is what it is. Disrespect the team. Do not disrespect the man.
Again, Zach Martin might be a GOAT.
Hey man, listen,
but the Cowgirls are still the Cowgirls.
We don't need Matt Ryan back. We got Kirk Cousins as long as he don't pat the ball.
Oh God.
Right, listen, we are going to jump into our first topic of the day, y'all. And that's very, very simple. Okay. We've just seen a player who was franchise tag actually getting an extension. That's Josh Allen actually getting an extension. And so my question is very, very simple. Between the two guys who are left, Zach Martin, don't you dare disrespect him, okay? But between the two guys who are left, we're talking about T. Higgins and Antoine Winfield. Who do you guys think is going to get their extension done first? One. Number two, do we think it's going to be on the same team? I'm throwing a little curveball at you guys there. Do you think it's going to be on the same team? And who do you think gets it done first? Darius, I'm going to start with you.
All right. So who gets it? Who gets it first? I mean, obviously, I think
right out of the dark.
I think T. Higgins gets traded. I think it's going to be one of those draft night trades, like how we saw with AJ Brown. I can see T. Higgins getting dealt on draft the night of the draft. I think Antoine Winfield, I think he's going to play on a franchise tag. Obviously, we know players don't like it, but the market for safeties is high. But I think Antoine Winfield is going to ball out. He's on a contract year, I guess you can say. And I can see him just balling out, 100 tackles, over 5 interceptions, couple of sacks. And I think he's going to reset the market for safeties. And I think that's when you're going to see teams they're going to start to shy away from playing defensive backs. As far as T. Higgins, I don't really know what team he is going to get traded to, but I know a team that's a dark horse that would make a move, and it would make sense just because they traded their wide receiver, and the way that their offense is going, they can use him, especially in the red zone. And I hate to say this, it's the Buffalo Bills. I think Josh Allen with T. Higgins, you give him a 50-50 ball type of guy in the red zone, he's going to do damage. he's going to do damage, and he's going to be able to mentor those younger wide receivers that are going to come in. Yes, we say it's a deep wide receiver class, and we see what receivers are going forward. Not one wide receiver who got traded for a first-round pick. So you don't have to give up a first-round pick. You can give up a second and a third, and you're getting T. Higgins. And then when you get T. Higgins, you're going to give up that draft capital, you extend him. The only issue is, does Buffalo have the cap space? Debatable, depending on how you structure that contract. But I can see a team like Buffalo, a dark horse team. And to me, that's just the perfect fit just because of the scheme and how Buffalo is transitioning that offense to where they want to run the ball. But then you have a legitimate number one on the outside who's going to need double coverage, and you run that two tight end set. So that's my 2 cents.
We'll get to that topic later.
I like it a lot. So Juan, I'm gonna come to you next.
Honestly, first off, kudos to Josh Allen for getting this extension. The fact that they didn't trust him the year before to sign into a long-term deal, put him on a prove-it deal, and then he went out and set the single season franchise record for sacks at 17.5. That's a really special kind of guy to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So first, kudos to him. 5-year, $150 million, $8 million guaranteed. That's a special weapon that you got to have on defense. Josh Allen, I feel like, is a premier defensive player, and we saw what happens when he goes against the other Josh Allen in the NFL. He dominates, sir. All right, now both Josh Allens are getting paid. You love to see it. That's for just wanted to give the quick shout out on that. As for who I think is going to get paid first, obviously it's going to be Antoine Winfield Jr. for a myriad of reasons. One of them being the fact that his position is one of the cheapest positions that you can make as the highest paid position in the NFL. Safety, that's what I'm saying. It's more likely that deal will get done. Not to mention a lot of the other deals that they had conducted earlier in the offseason with Baker Mayfield and with Mike Evans helped free up enough money to get Winfield under contract in time. They also have to focus on signing Tristan Wirfs, their top-tier offensive lineman, to a new contract pretty soon. So that'll help So the restructuring of that contract could help restructure that for Tristan Wirfs as well. With T. Higgins, I don't think the Bengals are going to trade him. I wasn't going to say none. I don't think that the Bengals are going to trade T. Higgins. I think that they are more than happy to let him play 1 year under the tag, just enough so that he's serviceable, because they can't afford to pay him. You have the upcoming contracts with Jamar Chase and the weight of the contract that Joey B is putting on the team. There's no room for T. Higgins to get the money that he's asking for with this team. And the Bengals aren't looking to trade him. They haven't really made the effort to try and send him to other teams or have any inquiries to send him anywhere. They are more than happy to either let him play on the tag or let him sit on the bench, because there's really no hurry for them, which is really weird. I disagree with the tactic fully. I agree with Darius in which they should trade him to Buffalo. Because if I was to put T. Higgins in this draft class and compare it to every wide receiver, I would make him probably the second best wide receiver prospect in this entire class behind Marvin Harrison Jr. And the fact that they're picking 29th, you don't even have to trade that first round pick to get him, as Darius said. So, you could still take a wide receiver at 29, get a good receiver and pair him up and rebuild that core from the ground up.
You see it. You talking about, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? I like it. Good stuff.
Black on gold can't go wrong. That's all I'm going to say.
Never go wrong. You know
never go wrong.
Never go wrong. That's all I'm saying. It's just a good combo. Coach, who do you think? Where are some landing spots? Talk to me.
Antoine Winfield may get signed first, but it's more of, again, like Juan said, he's at one of the positions where it's kind of cheap, honestly. And to me, if I was more so handling the situation, T. Higgins got to get signed first, because T. Higgins has more options of what really can go down than Antoine Winfield in my mind. Antoine Winfield is either going to stay a Buccaneer and sign, or he's going to play out the contract and sign next year. I don't see him leaving. There's no win for him to leave. There's no real win if the Bucs were to let him leave. I don't see that happening. I think that is a good marriage between the two that will easily get worked out after they figure out their money issues. T. Higgins, though, and I even wrote it down. So I have that he can either be signed and traded, signed, play out the full year, or even go as so far as a preseason trade if they're not sure what they want to do with him. I don't see him going to the Bills, though. But I do see him going to an AFC team. I see him going to the Chargers. Justin Herbert and them, they have no receivers right now. Mike Williams is going, Keenan Allen is going, but they have money. If you go ahead and bring over T. Higgins for a second or third, you can sign him to a extension. He'll be your only big-time receiver you have to pay because your other big-time receiver you'll have will be a rookie, Malik Neighbors, to pair with T. Higgins and Josh Palmer. Now let that trio of receivers go ahead and help out Justin Herbert and see what we can do. That is a good, nice little lineup for them. And now T. Higgins truly gets to show he's the number one guy. He's going to get paid like it. He's a guy that can block. He's a guy that can run almost every route. He may not be the fastest, but he is a number one receiver. And he will finally get to show it when he goes to the Chargers.
Okay. I'm not mad at that take at all. I like the
Chargers. I think like the relationship between the Bengals and Higgins is effectively over. The fact that he had to defend his agent on Twitter against fans who say that the agent is sabotaging contract deals is insane. So like to me, all signs are pointing to that. Like either he's not playing under the tag a la Le'Veon Bell style, or he will be traded. I still don't think the Bengals will look to trade him, but either the Chargers or the Bills would be a great option.
But I will say this because we have seen a lot of interdivisional moving. T. Higgins to the Ravens would be lovely, a big body guy.
Right.
I'm just saying.
That's not going to happen. You saw interdivision moving by choice.
That one in there.
Choice.
I didn't even say I want him in New England, and I didn't even say New England.
What were you going to say, Darius? Last word.
I was going to say we talk about this before, right? Like T. Higgins is the number one wide receiver. If you're a Cincinnati GM, you need to trade him. You do not want to let him walk. You're not going to get a first-round pick, but you can get draft picks. This receiver class is loaded with wide receivers. You have to pay Jamar Chase. You're going to have to pay him. So you pay Jamar Chase, you got him under the books, and you have a rookie wide receiver for the next 4 to 5 years under the books. Trade T. Higgins. I think the holdup right now is we see a lot of times is when players like this get traded, the contract. So my thing is what's going to be the trade, and then what's the contract situation like when he does get traded? Is that team going to extend him? So
I said Darius' last word, but I do want to ask, and Juan, you can give your take here. I'll ask you this, Juan, and you can give your take. Because Darius brought up draft. He said he's not worth a first, but you can get some picks. What is he worth if he's not worth the first?
I do think that he's worth a first, at least Buffalo's first at 29th overall. It's a low enough where it's a borderline early second round pick, and the value and his value at that is basically like you're drafting him. He's still young enough where the contract would make sense and it'll age pretty well in the long term. Or you can get a second round pick as well, get him on the cheap. But I think that the Bengals are going to go try to get at least that first round pick. And I think the Bills will be more than willing to give that away if they don't feel like they'll get a comparable prospect in that position. With that being said, I will say that my hot take is that T. Higgins will get traded right before the start of the NFL draft.
I like it. I'm not mad at it at all. I think personally, obviously, I agree with everybody. I think Antoine Winfield is going to get his contract before T. Higgins. I do believe it'll be for the Bucks. To your point, Coach, though, I don't agree that you said it's not beneficial for him to leave. It is, because he can get paid just as much, if not more, and still go to a contender.
It's not that portion. I'm saying when it comes to where he's at, the comfort level,
and
having an amicable relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I mean.
Let's make it clear. I got you.
I understand that. But like just from a financial standpoint, from the standpoint of like you could still go to another contender, from like all of he's going to be he'd be the highest touted free agent safety on the market if he was on the market right now. Like he would be the number one guy. So, and that's even with a Justin Simmons out there and a Poyer who was out there. Like he would have been the number one asset at safety if he was in this year's free agency class. So I do believe that he'll get his contract first. When it comes to T. Higgins, I do believe that Cincinnati should let him go, not from the standpoint of he doesn't fit there. I think he's a great partner to Jamar Chase, but again, you're in a tight cap situation. You're not going to be able to pay him what he's worth. Anything that you try to offer him is probably going to be disrespectful, and he's probably going to be like, yeah, no. So, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, Coach. You got to get something for him, right? You don't want to let this guy walk at the end of the season, and because he's going to get paid regardless. Like he's going to get paid regardless. So you don't want to let him walk. You want to get something for him. I love the Chargers take. I would say this: a team that I would like to see him go to, and I don't know if they have the cap space for this and all those different things, because I haven't looked into the cap in that regard. But I would like to see him go to Pittsburgh. I would love to see a T. Higgins in Pittsburgh. Give Russell Wilson another weapon. You got George Pickens.
No.
Listen,
You said individual trade. You said individual trade, bro. You said it.
We tried going with the Ravens, and that wasn't going to happen. You really think the Bengals are going to try to even negotiate with the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I don't think so at all.
Especially the Pittsburgh Steelers.
We're not making the Twin Towers over there in the Steel City.
I don't think it's going to happen.
We're not making the Twin Towers in the Steel
City.
I
will say this. I wouldn't put it
past. Or I wouldn't be mad at him. My second team, I wouldn't be mad at him. Go ahead, go to Chicago. They've got cap space. They're about to get a very young quarterback. They're about to do some things. You get DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, T. Higgins. That's absolutely terrifying. That's a terrifying receiver core. And they have the cap space to get him.
Line that can protect him there.
I mean, they have the cap space to get him. Again, Caleb Williams looks to be the next Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes did what he did without a great offensive line. So I'm just saying, I don't know. That's good. You're right.
Topic for next time: best trio wide receivers. If we're talking in that way, let us be honest. Texans right now looks like
let's not say trio. Let's just say receiving core, because sometimes you can have two wide receivers that trump three. That's just what I'm saying.
See, I'm thinking of the Texans, and I'm thinking of that Bears possibility.
That would be terrifying.
Don't forget about them Dolphins if they get Odell.
Again, trios, people. Trio.
Let them get Odell.
Right, let me ask you this. I'll pose the question this. What if the Jets traded for T. Higgins? You got Garrett Wilson.
Next topic. Next topic.
You're muted.
No, you can't. I will not be saying I don't think that much.
Who's the quarterback? Your quarterback's about to run for VP.
One time.
Your quarterback run for VP. Who's your quarterback?
You're talking about the Bears and their offensive line. Hey, you might want to check on yours.
Okay. No, we're doing fine with Morgan Moses and John Simpson and Tyron and Pro Bowler.
They got to stay healthy.
I was going to say, let's see if they can play 10 games.
They got to play. They got to stay healthy.
We're going to run into the next topic here, and that is very, very simple. Texans have 4. Stop forgetting about John Mechie. Yeah, John Mechie, nice. Do not sleep on Bull. Do not sleep. That is a fact. Great take, CEO, Mr. Jerome. All right, next topic is, which player do you think is taking a leap this year? It's very simple. Which player do you believe is going to take a leap this year, go to another level? Very simple. Coach, talk to us.
All right, I got a list of a couple guys, so just hear me out, and this is also my hot takes for this tonight. So first off, a guy that honestly burst onto the scene as a rookie.
You get two, and that's it.
Oh, that's easy then. Sam Laporta is number 1, and I'm gonna say it real clear: 86 catches, 889 yards, and 10 touchdowns as a rookie tight end. That's solid. That is top 10, top 15 tight end numbers.
Where's the leap?
That's
In my-
amazing.
Oh, here's the leap.
Where's the leap? That's
Oh, no.
amazing.
Here's the leap.
What I'm saying.
115 catches, 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns.
What,
I said what I said. Listen, Sam Laporta
Man.
has all of the makings of one of the top 3 tight ends in this league. He can block on the end line. He can split out wide as a receiver if need be. His routes are crisp. They're not Kelsey level yet, but they are crisp enough as a rookie for him to get almost 900 yards
Something wrong.
and be that security blanket. Let's start there.
This
That's
man's
first.
more George Kittle than Travis Kelce. And
Again,
because the guy who's seen him up front in personal and his play style at forward field, I can attest to that.
Oh, I get that. That's why I said the routes aren't Kelsey level, but he's still and can be still one of the top 10. Now, the second one, because I did have honorable mention Will Anderson and Jaden Reed. My next one will be, and last but not least, Zay Flowers.
Oh my god.
And
No.
And listen, this is why I say he'll break out. We already know Rashad Bateman is not going to be that guy. He is a second or a third fiddle at best. No more Odell Beckham. So we know now most of the target shares is going to one of two people. It's either going to Mark Andrews or it's going to Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers led the team in targets this year, yes. But what's going to happen next year is going to amaze a lot of people. He's going to double almost his target number and double almost his catches.
Is he going to learn not to extend at the goal line and let it go?
He's going to learn to win us playoff
Learn
games.
not to bang his hand on his helmet and
That's
break
what's
his
gonna
finger.
happen.
That one. Well, we're not.
Thank you.
I'm never
So this is how we're going to do
I'm
this.
never going to demonize a guy for trying to make a play. I'm never going to demonize a guy for that.
It was a great defensive play.
And he
it
ran
is
up
what it is.
And he
It was
ran
a
up
great
against a
defensive
guy.
play.
And he ran up against a guy who was making amazing
He
defensive
made
plays
a good
all
defensive
year and
play.
just got
It's
paid
okay.
for it. L'Jarius
It's
Sneed
okay.
was doing what he did all last year.
Okay, it's why
So
L'Jarius Sneed got paid. But again, this is not about L'Jarius Sneed, Juan. This is about Zay Flowers. And how Zay Flowers, if he has his way, he can go ahead and break possibly the NFL receiving.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
Just saying. Just saying.
You're getting muted.
I only throw shade because I love you, Coach. I only throw shade because I love you.
Listen,
Darius.
I'm seeing like 140,
Darius.
a smooth 15.
Darius.
A smooth
Who
10,
is
30.
taking the leap
Just saying.
next year?
Just saying.
Listen, when we're talking leaves, I'm talking guys who I'm thinking of guys who struggled. Christian Gonzalez,
You
he got
feel
hurt.
me? You know what I'm saying?
He got
Like,
hurt, so I'm not
Sam
going to count him. He is
Zay
changing his number.
Flowers.
Zay
Oh, we
Flowers
talking
had a
leaps.
solid
We're
season.
talking leaps from a star to an elite.
I'm
upper
talking
echelon.
leaps like, yo, you had a season. Now you about to show out. Now you about to really, you got a year under your belt. You about to go out there. You watch some film. You got some weapons. And a guy that I'm thinking about, I'm gonna say it, Bryce Young. I think what the Carolina Panthers are doing for him right now, you get him some. They got the biggest thing with him was his offensive line. Now you got him an offensive line, and they have draft picks. Then you go out and get a guy like Deontay Johnson. You still got Adam Thielen. You still got Miles Sanders. They have a young team. I think Bryce Young is going to have a breakout season, and he's going to prove to everyone why he was the number one overall pick. CJ Stroud, there was conversations that he should have been number one overall and all that, but I think Bryce Young, now that he has an offensive line that can block and he can actually sit back without having 4 or 5 linemen in his face that's not his, wearing the same color jerseys as him, he's going to show out. And I guess this is my hot take. I think Bryce Young throws for over 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions.
Oh wow!
So that's my breakout. That's my breakout.
So you expect him to become CJ Stroud, basically.
I want to say that I hate you.
Who literally has an offensive line,
I want to
has
say
weapons. Now you give Bryce Young that.
Darius,
So
and I
he's
say
basically
this-
going to have a CJ Stroud rookie year, his second year.
Hey, listen,
I wanna say this.
can you blame him without an offensive line?
Years to become Josh Allen. Let's pump the brakes on a guy who had one of the worst coaching jobs and one of the worst situations last year.
I want to say this.
Quarterback,
I
not even
say this.
Stroud could have.
Darius, and I say this out of love. I hate that take, and I also hate you. And it's because you're right. Like, I agree with you. I think Bryce Young, I've been watching film of the guy. He scares me. That's all I'm going to say. Juan, give me a guy. I hate it. I hate to say
offensive line. He's got an offensive line, and he's getting some weapons. That's all I'm saying. That's all you need. That's all you need.
So Jerome dropped one that I had, so I had to go scramble for another. I'll just make it real quick. With Christian Gonzalez as a Colombian man, I want to see another Colombian man thrive in the sport that I love so much. Especially when you get injured, having one of a start of like one of your best rookie seasons, 4 games into it. I feel like Christian Gonzalez can make a huge leap next year, an Ahmad Sauce Gardner style leap as one of the premier corners in the NFL next year. Should he stay fully healthy? We saw his skills. He is a tall man. He is fast. He has range like no other.
He locked down Tyreek Hill.
This is what I'm saying. Like, he has the
second week in the NFL, he locked them down. That's all I'm saying.
He has the makings of an elite premier defensive back. He's just got to stay healthy. I'll only mention one other guy, Drake London with the Atlanta Falcons. I think this is the year where we finally see some consistency and some firepower come into what Drake London could become. Look at the list of quarterbacks that he's had in his 2 years in the league. Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke. 2 out of 3 of them aren't exactly the gunslingers that Drake London is built to support. Kirk Cousins, on the other hand, look at the wide receivers he's developed during his time in Minnesota. Friggin' Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs. I forget who the other guy. Adam Thielen. He's turned wide receivers into the best versions of themselves because he has the willingness to throw down the field and give his guys a chance. And that's what Drake London is looking for, a chance. In fact, I'll throw the entire Atlanta Falcons offense as making the league candidates this year simply by the upgrade of Kirk Cousins. The fact of the matter is Bijan Robinson could make a huge leap as a top 5 running back in the NFL. Kyle Pitts can finally reach his potential as the athletic, dynamic tight end that he's supposed to be. And Drake London, I will say, can be a top 3 wide receiver next year.
I like it. I'm
top what? I'm sorry?
3.
You heard him. You heard what he said. You heard what he said. I'm not mad at that at all. I actually had, a couple of the Falcons players as honorable mentions, simply because, I mean, like you said, they got a quarterback now, right? So, but for me, it's between 3 guys. I'll use one as an honorable mention, right? So my honorable mention, who would have been in my third, is Clark Phillips, and that's the corner from Atlanta, who essentially took over Jeff Okudah's spot last year as a rookie. I mean, he actually showed me some really good film. He put on some good tape, so much so that obviously Jeff Okudah was battling with some injuries and everything like that. But even still, it got to a point where he became the starter, and they were okay with letting Jeff Okudah walk in free agency. So with that being said, I could see Clark Phillips taking another step forward, particularly if Atlanta gets a premier pass rusher in this draft. We all know pass rush helps defensive backs out, right? So I could see Clark Phillips taking a leap. But the 2 guys that I would say that I'm going to say is going to take a leap, I'm going to take a page out of coach's book, where this guy it's not really a huge leap because he was phenomenal last year, but the situation he's in now, it's like we might see legendary numbers. And so my number 2 is Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley finally gets to run behind a offensive line like that is stacked. We're talking about arguably the best offensive line, in my opinion, the best offensive line in the NFL. He's not going to be the sole focal point of an offense for the first time in his career, because you can't just stack the box, because you got Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown on the outside, Dallas Goedert running up the seams. I think we could see we were just talking about OJ in 2000. I could see Saquon putting up a number that we've never seen before. Like, I could see him doing something close to 2,500 yards. Like I'm just being completely honest with his speed, his power, his shiftiness, the fact that he can catch out of the backfield as well. His IQ, listen, Saquon might do something absolutely legendary this year behind
that. Don't run enough of that.
Listen, if he
Eagles don't run enough of that.
I understand. Here's the thing, because it's one of the things I started thinking about. They did not expect to get what they got out of Swift. They were fully expecting to be a passing offense last year, but DeAndre Swift showed up in the running game like, oh, he can actually run the football. I think that kind of shocked their philosophy a little bit. With Saquon, they're getting that man the ball. They are putting the ball in that man's hand, whether it's screens, wheels, arrow routes, or running the football. Saquon is going to touch that ball at least 25 times a game. At least 25. I'm just saying. I don't know.
2,500 rushing yards is crazy. 2,500 all-purpose yards is a different story.
I'm talking close to. I don't think he'll hit 2,500, but I think close to 2,500 rushing. Like he could get to like
rushing, not all-purpose, right? Rushing.
Yes.
Listen here, Miles Sanders Swift had about the same season to me, honestly, in the last 2 years. So I
running the ball.
Say that he can't. It's just.
I don't know. I'm just.
Every time when I think of like Saquon joining the Philadelphia Eagles, I kind of think of that Jameis Winston quote where he said that when Tom Brady joined the Buccaneers, he said, "Oh, they're just trading, they're just trading in a Gran Torino for a Ferrari." Yeah, no, the Eagles were trading out a Ferrari for a freaking Bugatti. When they got rid of the receivers for Saquon Barkley.
All I'm saying is I don't know, but I'm going to move into my number one guy, and I was battling between a couple of guys that I wanted to put here at number one, but I'm going to say my number one breakout player for next year is none other than Romeo Doubs. I think they just got Josh Jacobs. They're going to continue that solidifying their run game even more so. Jordan Love showed us last year he belongs in the NFL. And he showed us that it looks like his number one receiver is Romeo Doubs. I think that's the guy that he trusts the most. I think Romeo Doubs has a breakout year and puts up a phenomenal number. I'm looking at anywhere between 16 to 1,800 yards, 13 to 16 touchdowns, and anywhere between 110 to 120 catches. I think he's going to absolutely. I think he's just going to get busy. You know what I'm saying?
Production goes down for Christian Watson?
Absolutely.
I'm a little scared on that. And I'm only scared on that because, well, shoot, I got Jaden Reed for having his best, James Jones impression. That's who I really see breaking out in that offense. Yeah, Romeo Doubs is going to be great, but
I like the physicality.
Oh, I get it.
Doubs. And to be the run after catch and being able to break the tackles and do the thing, I think he's going to turn into that guy who's like, we need to play right now. We're calling his number. I think Reed is still going to be a guy, right? I think he's going to be the Devontae Smith to AJ Brown situation. I think Devontae Smith is phenomenal. I think he's a great receiver. I think he's one of the best in the NFL. But when they need a play, they're not calling his number. They're calling AJ's. And I think that's what Romeo Doubs is going to be for Green Bay. And because of that, I think he's going to see a surge in what we see from him out of this number. So that's just me. All right, so we're going to move into our last topic of the night, y'all. And it's very, very simple. We're going to continue with our theme of the offseason review. Today, we've got the NFC East. All right. And so I am going to start with the +1. And you have got the Cowboys, sir. So go ahead and start us off. Give us your grade for what the Cowboys have done this offseason. I mean, it's not much, but have at it, sir.
We'll start off with the fact that no one on this chat wanted the Cowboys, and I had reluctantly accepted the position. of breaking down what is really believed to be the most hated team in the NFL. With that responsibility in mind, I am giving this offseason a D- borderline F. I have their list of free agents that they signed outside of a few core special team players and old guys that they signed in like Eric Kendricks to a 1-year deal and bringing in Chuma Edoga to be not to be a swing tackle. The best move that they made, honestly, has to be, I had it right here. So Jordan Lewis, their slot corner, who had proven to be one of the most underrated slot corners in the game right now. When he's playing with DaRon Bland and Trayvon Diggs, when they're back, they make a very scary defensive back unit in Dallas. If they can bring Stephon Gilmore back on a 1-year deal as well, they could be one of the best units in the NFL. But regardless of that, that might be the only significant positive move that you can see with the Dallas Cowboys. There's a lot of negatives that come with it. You lost Tony Pollard, who was supposed to be your number one back after you got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. Now you might even consider bringing him back. What are you doing, Jerry Jones? Do you not value running backs like you used to? And then you also lost Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, Jonathan Hankins, Neville Gilmore. These are key contributing pieces to your team. Granted, these are the same pieces that you lost with in the wild card against the Green Bay Packers. But nevertheless, you say you were going to be all in going into this offseason, and you've been nothing but all out in terms of trying to bring in key free agents and trying to bolster this roster. Not to mention, you are coming to a crossroads with 3 of your top players in Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. Rumors already came out that Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have agreed that this might be their last ride together as a unit, and that Dak Prescott might go into the sunset with another team next year. There's been no movement on the CeeDee Lamb contract, and his 5th-year option is nearly at $18 million a year. Are you ever going to sign into a long-term extension, or is he now the trade beast that you're looking at for a possible rebuild? And then there's rumors that Micah Parsons is on the best lights with the organization. It's a mess in Jerry World right now. The Dallas Cowboys, everyone's saying that has to be their year to go all in and try to win it all. I don't even think they can even make it to the playoffs with how they're structured right now. So I'm giving him a D-.
I'm not going to go as far as D-. I'm going to give them a C-. And the only reason is I say that is because they also have created room with not re-signing some of these guys. They have also created room next year to be able to kind of get some of those deals that you just mentioned. But however, it's, again, like you said, it's hearsay. Number one. Number two, it's also strapping you from building around said guy. So, but for me, C-, D+. Coach, talk to me. You have none other than the
Washington Commanders.
You guys swapped. So yeah, you've got the Washington football team.
So I'll be honest. I gave them a C to a C+. And I'll explain why. Yes, they made a lot of moves. Whether it was the umpteen signings of veterans that they did between the Austin Ecklers, the Bobby Wagners, the Dorrance Armstrongs, Marcus Mariota, Zach Ertz. Honestly, Dante Fowler. If this was 2-3 years ago, this team would be looking pretty good. I ain't even gonna lie. This was 2-3 years ago. This would be a solid team. But now, this is reminding me of something that the Panthers did last year, where they loaded up trying to surround a guy that they know they're going to bring in just so that he can at least try to develop with some type of consistency. They have receivers there already, so they didn't really need too many receivers, as they do have Scary Terry, and they have Dotson. They're set up better than the Panthers last year. I feel as though, especially on defense and offense, but it really depends for me on their final grade on what they're going to do with those draft picks. They have the number 2 overall pick. They have number 36. They have number 40. They have number 67, 78, and 100. That's 6 picks in the first 100. They have to, and I repeat, they have to capitalize on their first 3 picks. Their first 3 picks are 1 in the first, 2 in the second. You have to hit on those picks. You have to get key contributors. If they do that, I will go as far as to say the Commanders had a B. And they get a franchise quarterback out of this, a solid B.
Again,
if they get a franchise quarterback, I would push their grade to a solid B.
Hey, Coach, what would the quarterback have to be for you to give them that B?
He has to be a talent that we see for the next 5 to 7 years leading that team.
And who is that quarterback in this draft?
If that was the case and who I would think, I got the Commanders going Drake May. I don't believe that they're going to get that B grade from me with a Drake May pick. But I do believe, again, if they were to get a franchise guy in this draft, they've given him enough consistency to ride him out through this year. A lot of these deals are one-year deals where it'll be off the books next year so they can truly build around their franchise guy. Every team is looking for one. And once you have one, you protect him and build around him. They set it up to where they can truly build around him, and they have veterans there to help him grow. It just depends on who they get at quarterback. Other than that, it's a C.
There's
average at best.
I think we're in agreement here. I think we made the same face for the same reason. A B is all you're giving them. That's they're at a B right now, dog. Like they're at a B right. If they kill,
they had a really good offseason.
Like if they kill the draft, there's like again. I understand where you're coming from, right? A lot of one-year deals, a lot of vets. Like you said, 3 years ago, these guys would have been
a lot of older guys that right now.
However,
just to help the shit.
However, you're leading running back.
Here's the reason I'm feeling B right now. Number one, you still have a ton of cap space even after all those signings. You spent wisely and well. You still have a ton of cap space going. Like in the cap, the salary cap is only going to go up. You still going to be in the top 10 in salary cap next year. You did not just go out on a spending free frenzy and just be like, yeah, we're going to sign whoever. No, you were strategic. We're going to get a veteran running back. We're going to get a veteran tight end because we're going to bring in a young quarterback. We're going to have to run the football. And what's a young quarterback's best friend? A tight end. Boom. And then you still got Scary Terry, like you said, and Dodson. Then you go out and get defenders who are, one, familiar with the system, two, absolutely love the coach. And veteran guys who are proven in the league. And then you're saying, wait a second, we kind of still do need to make sure that we protect whatever quarterback we do get. And you go ahead and get, and then you're like, wait a second, let's bring in a bridge quarterback in Marcus Mariota, who, again, is he great? No. But he's a veteran in the NFL who can absolutely help develop one of your young prospects. That's just all he's there to do. To me, it's at a B right now. And if they go out and kill those first 6 in the 100, or kill the first, let's say kill 3 to 4 out of those 100, and then trade back in some of those and stockpile some more. Here's my thing: the Commanders are set up for, if they do not become a consistent playoff team within the next 3 years, they messed up.
I'll put it like this. If they don't hit on a quarterback, they'll have plenty of money next year.
You sign those old heads for a reason, to mentor your young guys.
Again,
yeah, not to mention
they made all of those smart signings, and that's great. They're one-year deals. That's great. They brought in smart guys who help the young guys. That's great. What are we going to do if they don't have a starting quarterback that they trust? We see what happens with the Giants when they don't. The Eagles just signed their guy.
They're going to take those 6
and that you already see what happened when you got paid,
and flip them and make sure that they do all of their due diligence to make sure that those 6 are guys who, when those one-year deals expire, we ain't gonna worry about it because we were able to develop the other guys behind.
That's nice, but without a quarterback, you're going to be stuck in mediocrity. And you can never get a top guy if you're in mediocrity, unless you just hit on something great. But again, the Commanders have not been good at drafting great guys.
You're asking Commanders over the Cowboys. I can't say that.
Their defensive line?
I can't say that only because they still have a veteran quarterback. They still have CeeDee Lamb.
Terry?
Other than the Giants, who would you put them over maybe in their division?
I'm not. It doesn't. It's about being competitive. Number one. Okay, I'm not saying that they're.
They will.
They're not about to have a
Texans
Texans.
always.
They're not about to have a Texans turnaround this year.
No.
What I'm saying is they have prepared themselves for the next 3 years to potentially be very scary in that division. I don't care what nobody says.
AC plus B if they get their franchise guy, because next year will be their year.
I'm not mad at it. Darius, talk to me.
Man. Darren, you're killing me. I'm giving the Giants.
You have the Giants.
I'm giving these New York Giants. I'm giving them a C minus. They didn't. What did they do? You lose Saquon. You bring in Devin Singletary. You lose Xavier McKinney. You don't really bring in nobody. You sign Drew Lock, who is going to be back up to Daniel Jones or whoever you draft at number 6. You trade for Brian Burns, but you give up a lot to get Brian Burns. So now the only thing the Giants have to look forward to is their defense, which is always going to keep them in games. That defense, no matter who you put in that system, is going to contribute. And now you put in Brian Burns. And then the guy I can't remember his name from Oregon that they got on the other side. But now you're looking at one of the top 3 pass rushes, not in the NFC, in the NFL, with Brian Burns on one side and the other guy on the other side. The biggest question is, Thank you. What are you going to do with Daniel Jones? That's the biggest question mark. What are you going to do with Daniel Jones? What are you going to do with that 6th overall pick? Depending on how the first 3 picks go, is going to determine what the Giants are going to do. If the first 3 quarterbacks go, you're going to be left. You may draft J.J. McCarthy. You may say, hey, Michael Penix, come on in, sit behind Daniel Jones, and then next year, depending on how much dead cap, we'll trade him or get rid of him. I give the Giants a C. They didn't do anything really that wows you, but I think defensively what they did by bringing in Brian Burns, that's going to keep them competitive. Now, I'm with Darren with the Commanders. Depending on what they do with that 6th overall pick, that can take them from that C minus to probably like a C plus B, depending on what direction they go. It's all going to determine on if you believe in Daniel Jones, surround him with talent. Malik Neighbors is there. Go grab him. Whoever you feel like, Brock, like whoever you think. And then we still got to figure out what's going on with Darren Walker. Is he going to retire? That's a big question mark. There's still questions about if he's going to retire. So now you might have to replace your tight end who you went out and signed to that big lucrative contract. So that's why I'm giving the Giants a C minus, but they have a chance to really make a great. They can get that grade up if they draft right with the 6th overall pick.
We kind of lockstep here tonight, Darius. I like the C grade. I think again they're in a prime position as well in that draft spot, drafting at 6, right? It's like you did just sign Daniel Jones, so you don't have to go after a quarterback right now because you got Daniel Jones, you got Drew Lock. I mean, are they like elite? No, like we've seen that. But Daniel Jones, he did, 2 years ago he got you to the playoffs, so he can he can play some football, right? The losing Saquon absolutely hurts, but then to again bring in Burns, you say you don't trade Duke player. You don't draft. Okay, well, I mean, I told you Duke could be the new USC, but anyway, I think what they did on defense, I do like those moves, right? So they're going to be, a tough, hard-nosed football team. I think, me personally, if I was at the 6th spot, if all those quarterbacks go and I'm not sold, like let's say the top 3 guys go, if I'm not sold on the next, the next 2, whether it's Penix or McCarthy or Bo Nix or whatever, like if I'm not sold on those guys, I honestly don't even take them in league neighbors. I don't even go after a Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, I trade back. It's a deep wide receiver class. It's going to take a great haul to get that number 6, but it's a deep wide receiver class. Rome Odunze is not going in the top 10. You could absolutely get Rome Odunze at 15, 20, something like that, because he's not going to the top 10, right? And that's just one of the guys that we're talking about here. So me personally, that's personally what I would do, unless, to your point, Darren Waller retires, then you got to go and get Brock. I think you got to go get Brock Bowers. Like I think you got to. And if I'm the Giants, I don't want to put pressure on Darren Waller. Like, hey, bro, can you give us a response? But like at the same time, it's just like I kind of want to know before the draft if we need to go ahead and get a potential franchise chasing tight end here or not.
Anyway. Whoever they have at quarterback is not going to be good enough to truly run that offense. So you get guys around that's going to help solidify that. A two tight ends, but Darren Waller and Brock Bowers would be dangerous.
It absolutely would. Absolutely would.
Or they go offensive line. Beef up that offensive line. Go get one of the top tackles.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
go get one of the top tackles.
You trade back with that at that 6 overall. You get like 3 or 4 picks out of that. I mean, you could absolutely get a wide receiver, young wide receiver talent, and then stockpile some offensive linemen, and then get a Bo Nix, a JJ McCarthy on the in the second, third, because they're not going in the first, a second, third rounder, and then develop them. Let them sit behind it. Let Daniel Jones play out his contract and sit behind those guys, like and learn. You know, like I'm just saying, like the Giants.
The dream scenario at wide receiver would be if Marvin Harrison Jr. somehow fell to 6.
So let me be clear. Rome Odunze is a top 10, 15 pick. He won't be. Not in this class. Only because the teams, there's more needs there. Right? Like, so like for example, at 8, you're looking at Atlanta, they don't need a receiver. Right? They don't need a receiver. Then after that, it's Chicago. They don't need a receiver. Could they use one? Sure. They don't need a receiver. They have bigger needs than that. And then who's at 10? I don't even remember who's at 10. Is it the Chargers? It's not the Chargers.
Chargers are at 5.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm just gonna look it up. I'm not even gonna try to do it. Draft order.
Yes.
It is the load for me. Thank you. Okay. It's the Jets. Don't need a receiver. Okay. Minnesota.
No.
You don't need a receiver.
Jay Jettis.
Denver. I guess maybe you could see, but they've got
everything.
They need a quarterback.
They're going to go. They'd rather do a quarterback and move up.
They need a quarterback.
Las Vegas.
They said they weren't going for a QB. That they were focusing on offensive line and corner.
Listen, I get trade again. Is he worthy of a top 10, 15 pick? Yes. I don't believe he will do that. I don't believe it's going to happen. I don't believe Rome Odunze is going to go. And I don't think a team is going to say, I got to trade up to get him. They know it's not, this draft class is deep. Even if they don't get him, you still got the Malik Neighbors. You still got, there's other guys out there. So that's just me. I mean, New Orleans, they don't need a wide receiver. The Colts that's where I'm like, okay, Michael Pittman, cool, but now y'all can use some offensive firepower for Anthony Richardson. But even then, if they want to say,
until you get to Jacksonville and maybe Pittsburgh, that's the next ones after that.
That's what I'm saying. So, and that's where it's not that he's not worthy of a top 10 pick. Like, for example, if he went at 8 to Atlanta, I wouldn't like it, but I would get it. Who's the other guy on the other side of Drake London right now?
I don't see him dropping past 20, though. I see one of those 20 teams moving up. Just because if he drops that low, that is like Kyle Hamilton dropping to 14 for the Ravens. He should never have dropped that low.
Well, listen, we will see. We will see. We've seen stranger things happen, right? But I just don't think if I'm a team, I'm not sitting there like, man. If I'm a team sitting there at 16 and Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors have just gone and we're at pick 10, I'm not saying I got to get to 12 for Rome Odunze. I'm not saying that. He's good, but he's not. I gotta trade. Do you know what it takes to trade up in the first? It's going to take a lot.
This is not the draft of the Garrett Wilsons, the Drake Londons, all going in at first. That was a ridiculously loaded first round of receivers.
Yeah, there's
not that same
let's
year.
call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. There's no Julio Jones caliber receiver in this draft. The Falcons literally almost like wiped their draft capital to trade up to get Julio Jones. As Marvin Harrison's good, he is not Julio Jones caliber. That's just the reality.
He has the possibility.
No.
He has the ability.
Julio Jones, let's call it, he was generational. Julio was generational. Okay, let's call it what it is. Have we seen Julio since? They thought it was going to be DK. No. They thought it was going to be AJ. No. He was generational. Right? Like AB was generational. DeAndre Hopkins, generational. These are guys that was like, yo, goodness gracious. It don't really matter who's the quarterback. These guys are going to get it done. I don't see that from Marvin Harrison Jr. I think it absolutely matters where he lands. And that's not to slight him or take it away from him. Again, I was just watching the film on him. He's a phenomenal receiver. He could easily be in his rookie year, a top 15 receiver. But I don't see legendary just yet. And that's not to say he won't be there. But when I saw on tape from Julio, I'm like, he might be a legend. And he was. What I saw from Justin Jefferson, I was like, he might be a legend. And he was. Like, Justin Jefferson is a legend already. Like, that, I don't see that from Marvin Harrison Jr. Not yet. But we'll see. We'll see. Johnson was like, that's all. And that's what, like, I'm just saying, I think he's going to be really, really good. I think he might even be Hall of Fame worthy good. Potentially. But he doesn't give me, like, he doesn't scream, like, Julio screamed Hall of Famer to me. Justin Jefferson screamed Hall of Famer to me. I was like, when they get to the league, they're going to be nice. Immediately.
Antonio Brown didn't scream Hall of Fame to nobody, but we questioning him.
Again, what I'm saying is, can he do that? Probably. Nobody saw that from Tyreek Hill either. Could he? It's a possibility. What I'm saying is, coming out right now, Roma Dunze could do that. But coming out, nobody was saying that. And that's what I'm saying about Marvin Harris. I don't see that from him where I'm like, yeah, a team. When we traded up for Julio, I almost shed a tear of joy. Not only just because I'm a Bama fan, but I'm like, I watched the dude and I'm like, remember what I said before when I judge wide receivers? One of my criteria is who would put fear in my heart if I had to guard them? Meaning, who in my head, and I'm not saying I have to make sure I get a good night's rest for this guy. I eat well all week and I watch film all month long on this guy. Julio was one of those. I don't get that from Marvin. Justin, one of those. You best to be in the film room or you're gonna get fried. And I hate to say it, I even kind of felt it, and it took him a while, but it's starting. I felt the same way about CD. CD is starting to show like, yeah, no, I'm that guy. No, I'm that guy. So I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Why is there Kyle Pitts? No, I actually didn't. I didn't want Kyle Pitts. Remember, I wanted defensive line, and you know who went in that draft. So you got the guy I wanted for Kyle Pitts. You got him. So there's that. I wanted that D tackle that is going to be a Hall of Famer now that Fletcher Cox is retired and he's going to be on the field 90% of the time. That's the guy I wanted over Kyle Pitts. So I did not cry for Kyle Pitts. What is this about? This is about whether or not Roma Dunze is going to go in the top 10 to 15 in this draft. I don't believe he doesn't scream, I got to trade him to the top 10 for him. Sorry, he just doesn't scream that to me. I still Jamar Chase is better than Jetta. I agree. I think Jamar Chase is probably third or fourth best in the league. That's just me personally.
He's not better than Jay Jettis to me. I'm sorry.
No, he is.
He's not. Not currently. I'm sorry.
I think he is.
Again, not currently. I'm not saying there wasn't a point in time where he maybe was, or he can still get better. But as of right now, I got Jay Jettis over Chase.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is yes, it is. Thank you for tuning in, Buffalo Bunny. Yes, this is. You can leave us your thoughts. But yeah, that's just me. Okay, all right. So I have to do my review real quick. Eagles. All right, Eagles offseason review. I'm going to give them a solid B+. Again, you've got a generational talent in Saquon Barkley. I think that was a phenomenal move. And that's the only move I'm going to talk about. I'm not even going to talk about anything else that they've done because Saquon Barkley is the only move that matters. Let's call it what it is. It's the only move that matters. It does suck that Jason Kelce retired. It does suck that Fletcher Cox retired. But the only move that matters.
Nah.
You forgot about like the Landon Dickerson signing.
No, forget all of that. He didn't. No. Stop talking offense. You're all missing the one guy that's going to really make the Eagles actually okay next year because they were soft.
Here we go.
They were soft.
Throw his picture up because he's an Eagles fan.
Here we go.
Throw the picture up.
Here we go.
Throw the picture up. He's Eagles fan.
Showing the true colors.
There you go.
No,
there.
It was
only a matter of time.
Talk.
It was only a matter of time.
I love C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I didn't care if he was with the Saints. I didn't care if he was with the Lions. I didn't care if he was with the Eagles. He is a player. And he's a player that he's going to get his guys.
So listen. I understand it. And he's great. He's a great fit for that team. CJ is absolutely going to change that defense, just like he did the year he was there 2 years ago, right? I don't deny that. However, he's nowhere near the star power of Saquon Barkley. Okay, let's just call it what it is. He's nowhere near the star. Saquon Barkley, again, he's generational. CJ's not generational. Saquon Barkley is generational and has an opportunity to literally do something we've never seen before behind the greatest offensive line in the NFL right now. But I want to get to this question real quick. What are your guys' thoughts on Rice for the Chiefs about running from the accident? Do you think they will trade him? I'm going to be honest. That's a great question. We've seen a lot of guys end up getting traded for situations like that. I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is because, though it took a while, he's owning it, right? Like he's owning it. I think, and I think they have a longer leash, knowing that they don't really have any receivers that even need attitude. Not gonna lie, we were sold out last year. I think I think he's going to get a longer leash because they kind of need wide receivers like Henry Ruggs. That situation where it's just like we don't really need wide receivers. I mean, at the time they thought they were going to have Antonio Brown. He never played it down, but they didn't necessarily need wide receivers. I think the Chiefs really need wide receivers right now. Number one, number two. I think he's young and made a dumb mistake just coming off. I mean, he just came off, a Super Bowl victory. It's just like, I think that the Chiefs are going to give him just a little bit of grace there. But I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'll make it simple. Rice is going to stay just because they need receivers. Yeah, they got Hollywood, but they need firepower from Mahomes. That's just what it is. Unless he gets convicted or he gets some type of actual punishment for what he did or his involvement, they're going to keep him. But don't be surprised if the second or third round you see them draft a nice receiver that looks just like Rashee Rice. Just saying. Don't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Jerome, we did answer your question with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We gave our thoughts. So like I said, I think he's going to be a game changer on that defense. From a cultural standpoint, he's a great player, and I think he's going to help elevate their mindset and their toughness on defense. But I don't think he's the answer on defense. Number one, number two, I think the bigger focal point is the offense. It wasn't the defense that folded last year. It was the offense. The defense wasn't great. It wasn't as good as it was the year before, but they didn't fold. The offense, they sputtered and stalled out at the end of the year. They stopped running the football. It was bad. It was bad. Cowboys going to go deep as well this next season.
Oh boy, here we
But it
go.
was so cool until you said
Here we go. Wrap it up.
That's where you lost me, bro.
Oh, you
Gotta
were
wrap it up.
so funny.
I may be wearing a Cowboys jersey, but I ain't that.
Oh, Darius, you got a secret admirer over here. I'm talking about.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
Air it out after dark. Air it out after dark.
Air it out after the door.
Oh my god!
No,
We can't do this no more.
What about that?
no. No. So, not preaching about no Cowboys. We ain't doing that.
Let's go. I love it. I love it. Listen, air it out.
Oh, snap,
Air it out after dark. This is what I'm talking about. All right, y'all. Listen, that's going to wrap it up for us at the Air It Out podcast. We thank you so much for tuning in. It was a great episode. Thank you for jumping in even at this late hour. Listen, we're going to wrap it up. Do me a favor. Please go on all your social media platforms and follow, okay? That's Inside the Hashes on Instagram and Facebook. And then on Twitter or X, go over and type in Inside Hashes. Don't put the there, all right? And do that for us. Hit the follow button. But then go over to YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, of course, but also turn on the notification button. That way you can get your comments dropped into the chat, into the podcast live, as you see here. Hey, y'all, Air It Out After Dark is getting spicy. Oh, man, the podcast guy. No, we love it. Buckle Bunny, thank you so much for jumping on. We appreciate you and everybody else. Wifey in the chat, CEO Jerome in the chat. Jess, I'll be back and bring my gal friends so we can all Let's go.
I'm taking off. Yo, I'm putting PTO in.
Fans up in here, man.
I'm putting PTO in, dog.
Oh, man.
Yes. But
we can't do this podcast after 10 o'clock. We can't do it after 10 o'clock.
We're keeping this 9 exclusive going forward.
Oh man!
Nah, it's done. In the live.
Oh, here we go. It's lit in here. It's lit in the chat. But listen, go to the website www.insidethehashes.com. All right, check out all your football content. Literally, podcasts, player interviews. We got blogs, we got gaming, fantasy, all of the stuff that you want to fix your football need is right there. www.insidethehashes.com. And if you don't want to go to all those different places separately, well, we got you covered there. All you got to do is scan this QR code right there in the top portion of the corner right there. Scan that QR code and take you exactly where you need to go. But this is the Air It Out podcast brought to you by Inside the Hashes for the 1+1 for Coach Braxton and for Darius. I'm your host, Avery Collins. It's been a pleasure. We will see y'all. Like I said,
No,
what I'm saying is, we can't do this podcast after 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, we got to do it at 9 o'clock. Look what she's doing. I gotta go, bro.